Is karate good for self-defense? Now, before we get into this, there's a few things that karate doesn't cover, and I want to cover very quickly at the start of this video. So, self-defense is not simply striking or fighting or sparring with martial artists. There's a lot of other areas that need to be sort of considered when you're talking about self-defense, like situational awareness, avoiding a confrontation, the law in your country, because obviously different countries have different laws, and how far you can go in self-defense is going to matter and have to be considered as well. Self-defense is about looking after yourself and getting home safe at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the areas in karate that do give a good foundation in self-defense, but also some of the limitations that karate has in regards to self-defense. So here we go. So where does karate excel in this area then? At least in Shotokan, we have this idea of ippon, or one strike to kind of finish a fight. I think this is an important concept in self-defense because we don't want to drag anything out. We want to get the job done very fast and get ourselves away. As I said, get home afterwards. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of things here around that idea. So the idea in Shotokan is that we are delivering a strike with enough force and intention to finish the fight in that one strike. Of course, that's not always realistic. It doesn't always happen, under stress and the adrenaline, you're going to miss or things are going to go slightly off. However, the intention is to finish with that one technique. And of course, we train to then follow up with different things in our dojo training. But that intention there is important, I think. And having that intention throughout your dojo training is really important. So one example of this then is, imagine the opponent's taking a grip on my jacket or something, and he's just going to send a big hook into the face, this kind of thing. So rather than me trying to deal with this hand, as he takes a grip on me and I'm trying to deal with this and doing all these different steps that you see often in these karate videos, where people are talking about do 1 step, 2 steps, and do this and this and this. Shotokan teaches us just to go straight in with that one strike, to finish, or relaxing with one and then finish with the other. And I think this is really a valuable concept to understand in terms of self-defense. Not to waste techniques, go 100% to finish the opponent off. Another benefit in karate's favor, and this goes to all martial arts really, is the fitness that we gain from training in a martial art on a regular basis. Being fitter is going to make you a harder target, regardless of the situation. People want to generally pick on someone who is weaker. So if you're fit and strong, first of all, you're possibly going to be less of a target in the first place. But secondly, you can actually, get away if you need to, or fight your way out if you need to, if that's the case. Strengthening the body is never going to be a weakness ever. So stronger, fitter body is going to be a great benefit. So, whether you get that through karate or you get that through anything else, the benefit of being fitter and stronger is going to help in self-defense. Another thing, of course, is especially dojos that are doing a lot of kumite and sparring, which of course there should be, it just gets used to having an attacker coming at you anyway. Whether the techniques are realistic in terms of outside self-defense type work or more sports style karate techniques, just having an opponent trying to hit you and you trying to evade and deal with attacks coming at you is going to be, again, a benefit. Obviously the translation from sport to real life there's quite a gap. So that needs to be addressed. However, I would still say that the person who's competed, especially at a high level, and dealt with fast attacks coming at them is going to be in a better position self-defense wise than those who have never done any of that kind of stuff. So where is karate limited then in terms of self-defense? As I just mentioned, sport karate, where people are training purely for competition, bad habits are formed. As much as, Uram or Oshigeris, hook kicks and kind of this sort of thing are very nice looking kicks, they are not realistic to be used outside when you're in more restrictive clothing, not warmed up, and in less than suitable conditions, for example, or against more than one opponent. So although the benefit of being a sport karateka or a karate athlete, if you want to call it that, is to be able to deal with attackers coming at you at a speed, that's definitely a benefit. But we still must understand that is not real self-defense fighting. They are completely different things. What happens outside in physical attacks is not the same as what happens on the tatami in competition. They are completely different areas to be addressed. So how could we then make our karate better geared towards self-defense? First of all, like I said at the start of the video, self-defense and martial arts are not the same thing. And I'm not talking about just karate. This applies to Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, all of it. They train purely for the environment that they are in or within. You know, a boxer will train for a match in a ring. They won't train for a match in a car park, you know, against the car, or, you know, where there's a curb behind them. And a karate is the same. You know, we train for the dojo generally. So it's very important to establish the idea that they are different things. So then how could we make our karate more closer to self-defense? How can we bridge that gap? One thing would be to talk within the dojo about situational awareness, you know, not putting yourselves in positions to be in danger, you know, being aware, not with your phone, looking at your phone at the night time when you're walking down the street, this kind of thing. Understanding what's going on around you. And we call this Zanshin, you know, awareness. We train awareness in the dojo, but that needs to be spread wider and have a greater understanding outside of just dojo karate. What we could also do is change the distance in which we practice our techniques. You know, a lot of the time we're practicing from too far away. So like what we'd often see in a dojo traditionally is if he steps back and makes like a Gidan Barai, you know, you see this technique where he'll be stepped back into a long stance there and he'll step in and punch like a Jodan or Izuki, and I'll come back here and I'll defend against that here and deliver a counterattack, which is fine, again, you know, as a basic training exercise to deal with attacks coming at you, to learn timing, distancing, but that's an unrealistic distance to be working with in terms of self-defense. You know, you're not going to have that kind of space. Realistically, we want to be a lot closer. So if he comes in here, punch is going to be coming from this, you know, talking distance, or even closer than talking distance. I need to be dealing with attacks here as that overhand comes in. I want to be closing that up and then coming in with different techniques like this. You know, I don't want to be having that big Zenkutsudachi traditional stance when I'm talking self-defense, at least. Another way we could then try to bridge that gap between the dojo and the street, if you want to call it that, is to think about the attacks that the attacker is going to give us as well. Like I just said there, it's not going to be a long, straight, stepping punch that a karateka would deliver with perfectly clean technique. It's going to be rough, and it's going to be close range. It's going to be grabbing, it's going to be hooking, it's going to be maybe headbutts, knees, you know, this kind of stuff. So we need to be then training with those kind of attacks, you know, learning to defend against them, covering up the head. You know, we have movements in kata, kankudai, for example, you know, where we're bringing the hands up high to defend against swinging punches like that. And then our counters should also reflect that distance. You know, elbows we want to use, knees we want to use, which again is all in the kata. You know, people say kata doesn't work. It works depending on how you train it. If you take the kata elements, you know, those kind of areas there, and drill those with a partner, you know, working these elbows, get on the pads with those techniques that you've taken from the kata, then the kata becomes more of a realistic self-defense, almost textbook. Hopefully there's some ideas for you that can help to maybe steer your karate a little bit more towards self-defense if that's what you're after. Let me know some of your ideas as well, some of the limitations of karate or even martial arts as a whole in terms of self-defense, and also some of the benefits that I may have missed. Drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.